I never thought one touch could echo in my chest for days. Not when it came from Horace. We were best friends since college. The kind who shared drinks, secrets, and sometimes beds on road trips without ever crossing a line. Or so I thought. That Saturday night, I was supposed to be at home with Adil, my boyfriend of 3 years. But he had picked up a late shift again, and I had picked up an excuse. I'll just hang with Horace. Game night. Nothing wild. I said it like I believed it, even though something about Horace had always pulled me just a little too close to the edge of what if. His apartment felt too familiar. My hoodie was still hanging on the chair from last week. The lights were low, music humming softly, old R&B we used to listen to in college, when our bodies were younger and our boundaries blurrier. Let's make it interesting, Horace grinned, tossing me a controller. Loser takes a dare. I laughed. We're not 17. That's exactly why we should play. I lost. I always did. Horace's grin turned sharper as he leaned in, eyes dancing with something dangerous. All right. Dare, he said, thinking too long, watching me too closely. Then, without warning, his hand slipped across the couch. Bold. Unapologetic. Fingers brushing my inner thigh, rising just high enough to send a jolt straight through me. It was fast, barely 3 seconds, but it changed everything. I froze. My breath caught in my throat. My body didn't move, but it responded. Heat bloomed beneath my skin. What the hell? I half laughed, shoving his hand away gently. I didn't sound convincing, not even to myself. Relax, he smirked, as if nothing happened. Just a joke. You look too serious. But he didn't look away. He watched me, searching for something behind my reaction. I tried to act unfazed, but my pulse was a traitor. My legs were still tingling where his fingers had grazed. Was it really a joke? We played another round. I barely touched the controller. Horace didn't mention it again, but he didn't have to. The air had shifted. I kept stealing glances at his hands, at the smirk he wore like a secret. Later, in the kitchen, he handed me a drink and our fingers touched again. Just for a moment, maybe an accident. Or maybe not. I thought about Adil. Adil, who loved me. Who sent heart emojis. Who waited for me to come home. But Adil never made me feel electrified. When I finally stood to leave, Horace walked me to the door, a little too close behind me. I turned to say goodbye, and he didn't move back. We stood there, inches apart. Close enough to hear each other's breathing. Still thinking about the dare? He asked. I opened my mouth to lie, but nothing came out. He chuckled low. Thought so. And then he stepped back, all nonchalance again. See you next week. I walked to my car in a fog, hands shaking slightly. The touch wasn't a joke. Not anymore. It was an invitation. I didn't sleep that night. I lay in bed next to Adil, who curled into me out of habit, not passion. My mind replayed the moment again and again. The touch. The tension. The way my body had responded instantly, like it had been waiting. What scared me more than Horace's hand was that I wanted him to do it again. The next time I saw Horace, neither of us brought it up. Not the touch. Not the dare. Not the way I'd lain awake that night, sweating with guilt and something far worse, desire. It was midweek, and he'd invited me for a late-night workout at the gym. Said he needed a partner to spot him. I said yes before I could think of a reason not to. Adil asked where I was going. I told him just out, and kissed him too quickly. He smiled, distracted, and went back to his laptop. He didn't even ask who with. The gym was nearly empty, lit with sterile white light. Horace met me in the locker room, damp hair, tank top clinging to his body. I tried not to stare. I failed. He tossed me a bottle of water. You okay? Yeah, I lied. You. He smirked. You've been quiet. So had he. But that tension, the one that coiled in the silence between us, was louder than ever. We worked out like nothing had happened. Until I was on the bench, chest heaving, bar above me, and he stood over me to spot. His thighs brushed my arms, and his breath tickled my neck as he leaned in. "You're tense," he said, hands guiding the bar. "You're close," I muttered. "You're not stopping me." I let the weights crash back onto the rack and sat up fast, chest heaving for reasons that had nothing to do with lifting. He laughed. "Relax. Just a joke, right?" That phrase again. Like a trap dressed as a punchline. We ended up back at his apartment. We told ourselves we were just cooling down. Hydrating. Killing time. He handed me a towel and stood behind me, slowly pressing his hands to my shoulders. It started innocent, firm, brotherly pressure. But then his thumbs drifted lower, slower. Down my spine, brushing the hem of my shirt. I didn't stop him. I closed my eyes. "You don't say no," he whispered. "Don't make me," I said, hating how weak my voice sounded. He didn't. He just kept touching me, grazing the edge of what was still forgivable. My phone buzzed. "Adil." I didn't answer. Instead, I turned to face Horace. Close now. Our breath mingled. My heart hammered. "What are we doing?" I asked, voice hoarse. He shrugged, eyes searching mine. "Something you've wanted for longer than you admit." He wasn't wrong. The kiss didn't happen that night. But it could have. Should have. It hung in the air between us, heavy as the silence that followed. "I should go," I said, standing up. He didn't argue. He just walked me to the door again, and this time, when he leaned in, I flinched. Not out of fear. Out of need. Back home, I climbed into bed beside Adil, who was already asleep. He smelled like home. Horace smelled like danger. I couldn't decide which I wanted more. Over the next few days, I started avoiding mirrors. I didn't like the way I looked at myself. Like someone lying. Someone pretending nothing had changed. Adil noticed. "You've been quiet lately," he said over dinner. "Work stress," I mumbled. He nodded, not questioning. That's what scared me, that he trusted me too much to look deeper. Friday night, Horace texted. "You still pretending?" I stared at the screen for a long time before replying. "I don't know what I'm doing." His response came instantly. "Then come over. Figure it out here." I stood outside Horace's apartment in the rain, my shirt clinging to my skin, heart pounding like I'd run a marathon. I could have turned around. I should have. But I didn't. He opened the door in sweatpants and a loose black tee. No smile. No jokes. Just his eyes, sharp, waiting, hungry. "You came," he said. "I shouldn't have. But you did." I stepped inside. The room smelled like him. Citrus, leather, heat. The rain outside blurred the windows, muffling the world. I felt like I'd entered a different reality, one where consequences hadn't caught up yet. He handed me a towel. I didn't dry off. My hands were shaking. We didn't talk at first. Just sat on the couch, close but not touching. A movie played in the background, something neither of us was watching. The tension sat between us like a third presence, silent, electric, undeniable. Finally I spoke. "Do you know what this could ruin?" "Yeah," Horace said. "But I also know what it could awaken." I turned to look at him, and he was already watching me, like he'd been watching all along. His gaze dropped to my mouth, then back up. "I'm not trying to steal you," he said, softer now. "I just want to stop pretending." My throat tightened. "You're my best friend. And you're the only man I've ever wanted to kiss this badly." The silence between us cracked. My body moved before my brain caught up. I leaned in, maybe just to shut him up, maybe because I needed it more than I knew. Either way, when our lips met, the world stopped. His mouth was warm. Confident. A little rough, like he meant it. I'd kissed Adil 100 times. It had never felt like this. When I pulled back, I was trembling. "This is a mistake," I whispered. Horace leaned in again. "Then let's make it count." The second kiss wasn't gentle. His hands gripped my waist, pulled me closer, fingers slipping beneath my wet shirt. I didn't stop him. Clothes came off slowly, not rushed, but with purpose. Every inch revealed was a confession. Every breathless moan was an admission. We didn't speak. We let our bodies talk, in gasps and whispers and the sound of skin meeting skin. The couch, the floor, the edge of his bed, we blurred across it all. He knew exactly how to touch me, like he'd imagined it 1,000 times and memorized every detail. It wasn't just lust. It was connection. Fire and vulnerability tangled into one. When it was over, we lay tangled in silence. My chest rose and fell against his. I felt exposed, not just naked, but seen. Then came the shame. I sat up, dragging the sheet around me. "Are you okay?" Horace asked, watching me carefully. "No," I said. "I cheated. I lied. And I can't take it back." "You wanted it," he said. "That doesn't make it right." "No," he agreed. "But it makes it real." I didn't reply. I couldn't. My phone buzzed from somewhere in the room. Adil again, probably wondering where I was. I didn't move to check it. "I don't regret it," Horace said. "But I don't expect you to stay." I looked at him, this man I'd known for years. His body still warm, his face softer than I'd ever seen it. "I don't know what happens now," I whispered. He gave me a sad smile. "Neither do I." I got dressed in silence. My skin still tingled where he'd touched it, but my heart ached. I paused at the door. This wasn't just a joke anymore. "No," he said. "This was the truth." I didn't go home that night. I drove around until the sky turned gray and my guilt became unbearable. When I finally walked through the door, Adil was already awake, sitting on the couch with 2 mugs of coffee and a worry stitched into his face. "You didn't come home," he said quietly. I nodded. No lies left. Just silence. "Was it Horace?" My throat clenched. "Yeah." He looked down, hands wrapped around his cup. I knew something changed. "You've been somewhere else for weeks." I sat across from him, unable to meet his eyes. "I didn't plan it." "I know you didn't," he said. "But you still did it." We sat there in the heavy quiet that follows the moment something breaks. Not loudly, not violently, just a clean, sudden snap. Like a thread pulled too tight. "I'm sorry," I said. "I believe you," he replied. "But that doesn't fix it." No begging. No yelling. Just resignation. That hurt more than anything. I wanted to ask if we could rebuild, but I didn't. Because I didn't know if I wanted to. That was the worst part. Later that evening, I stood outside Horace's place again. This time, the rain was gone and everything looked too clear. He opened the door slower this time. "Did you tell him?" I nodded. He knew. And he's not angry. Just done. Horace looked away, jaw tight. "So what now? You want me to say I'm sorry?" "No," I said. "I want to know what we are." He leaned against the doorframe, arms crossed. "You came here last night like a storm. And now you want labels." I stepped closer. "What happened between us? It wasn't just sex." "I know that." "Then why are you pushing me away now?" He hesitated. "Because I don't want to be your mistake." That word, mistake, slammed into my chest. "I never said you were. You don't have to. I can see it all over you." He shook his head. "You came to me because something was missing. And now that you've filled it, you're not sure if it was real." "It was real." "Then choose it." The room spun a little. Everything in me wanted to stay, to grab him and pull him into that same fire we lit the night before. But my body couldn't move. My mind screamed with doubt. "You're scared," he said. "I am," I admitted. "Of what?" "That I don't know how to be honest. That I ruined something with Adil, and I still don't know what this is." He stared at me for a long moment, then stepped aside, leaving the door wide open. "I'm not going to chase you," he said. "But I won't pretend that night didn't mean something to me." I stood there, stuck between what I had destroyed and what I didn't yet understand. And then, slowly, I stepped back. "I need time," I said. Horace nodded. "I'm not going anywhere. But I'm not going to wait forever." I walked away, not because I didn't care, but because I cared too much to make another decision I wasn't ready for. Now, days later, I still ask myself, was it desire or discovery? A betrayal or a beginning? Was Horace a mistake or the only honest thing I've done in years? The truth? I don't have all the answers. But I know this: one touch, one joke, one night, can unravel a whole life. And sometimes what breaks you is also what sets you free.